On her 30th birthday, dining alone, she discovered an incredible life-changing connection that rocked her world. Samantha sat at the counter of the bustling diner, tracing her fingers over the cream-stained surface. The familiar clatter of plates and the hum of conversations felt distant today, as they echoed through the crowded space like a cruel reminder of her solitude. Each laugh from a nearby family celebrating their own joyous occasion pierced her heart, contrasting sharply against the candlelit cake they were sharing, a cake she would never have. Today was her 30th birthday, and here she was, alone, a waitress watching a celebration she didn't belong to. Memories churned in her mind, a swirling vision of her mother's weary face, shoulders hunched from exhaustion as she worked double shifts to provide for Samantha and her siblings. Day after day, her mom's sacrifices had blended into an unending cycle of struggle that haunted Samantha. She stifled a sigh, feeling the weight of her mother's dreams resting heavily on her own shoulders, dreams for a life beyond this small town, dreams that often felt like illusions. The candlelight flickered, and she felt an ache for something more, a desire that now seemed just beyond her reach, just when despair threatened to swallow her whole. A rough, yet warm voice cut through the noise. "Penny for your thoughts." It was Charlie, an elderly war veteran with silver hair and deep-set wrinkles that told stories of a life well lived. He nursed a simple cup of coffee, the steam curling like the essence of his memories. She looked up, surprised, and felt something shift within her. As they talked, Charlie shared tales of his own past, tales filled with loss and resilience. He spoke of his son who faced disappointment after disappointment, yet kept waking up each day, determined to chase his dreams. Samantha felt her heart swell. It was as if Charlie was breathing life into her own aspirations, coaxing out the tiny flicker of hope buried within. They laughed together, bridging the gap of age with their shared stories of hardship, but this connection cracked the moment a loud exchange erupted nearby. A rude customer berated a struggling waitress, unleashing frustration that permeated the air. Samantha's heart raced. Charlie's brows furrowed, his frustration boiling as he witnessed the unkindness. She felt a sting of indignation rise like molten lava in her gut. Did she have the courage to speak up? Or would she shrink back into the silence of her solitude? The rift formed as he saw it as a chance to stand tall while she hesitated, sucking in air, caught between her desire for kindness and the urge to create distance. "Some folks just don't understand," Charlie muttered, his gaze darkening. Just when Samantha thought their bond was fraying, a sudden realization hit her like a slap. The unassuming mention of his son was the same man who was considering her for a job at his firm. A breakthrough. Her mind raced. This was the opportunity she craved, a potential escape from the endless cycle of diner work. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Samantha's heart pounded as she faced the weight of this revelation. Would that fragile connection with Charlie survive the conflict of expectations? As the laughter and chatter swirled around her, she realized her birthday, once marked by loneliness, had morphed into a moment laced with possibilities. Would reaching for a deeper bond with Charlie mean risking everything? As anxiety curled within her, she pondered her next move. Should she seize this fleeting spark of potential, or let it slip away into the din of voices surrounding her? The choice loomed like a shadow, bridging the gap between connection and isolation. Samantha swallowed hard, the weight of the moment pressing down on her like a thick fog. Could she peel back the layers of her own reluctance and reach for something meaningful, or would she let the fear of judgment choke her? Charlie's eyes held a challenge as they flicked between her and the commotion, urging her to break free from the grip of her self-doubt. Just then, the rude customer's voice rose again, jagged and loud. The waitress, visibly shaken, stood frozen, her hands trembling as she wiped the counter. Samantha felt the need for action swell in her chest. All at once, the dreams of a more fulfilling life crashed like waves against the shores of her heart, and she knew she had to act. "Excuse me," she called, letting the words spill out before she could retreat. The diner quieted, eyes turning their way like moths to a flame. The customer paused mid-sentence, surprised by the sudden attention. Her cheeks flushed hot as she pushed past her apprehension. "You can't talk to her like that. Everyone deserves respect, no matter where they work." The words tumbled out, raw and unfiltered. Charlie's eyes widened, a mix of pride and surprise written all over his face. The diner remained in a hush, and in that silence, Samantha realized she had spoken not only for the waitress, but for herself. Finally, she had stood her ground. With a grunt, the customer huffed and turned his back, mumbling about entitled waitresses. The waitress blinked, her surprised expression melting into a look of gratitude. Samantha felt a rush of warmth flood through her. She had taken a step, one that shook off the dust of her past, and it felt liberating. "Thank you," the waitress said softly, visibly shaken but smiling. There was something electric in the air as the tension quietly dissipated. Charlie nodded with approval, a proud smile creeping across his weathered face. "I knew you had it in you," he said, his voice low yet gravelly with emotion. "You just needed a push." Samantha's heart raced. She had spoken out. For the first time in ages, she felt the thrill of being bold. It stirred the embers of her ambition, igniting sparks of hope for the future. Maybe her mother's dreams weren't as far out of reach as she thought. "Charlie," she said slowly, glancing at him with newfound determination, "do you think your son would consider someone like me for that job?" The words slipped from her tongue, laced with a hint of vulnerability. It was a gamble, but she needed to take the leap. The old man studied her, his eyes ping-ponging between respect and understanding. "You've got more fight in you than you realize, Samantha." "I believe he noticed that." The door swung open, and a cold breeze swept through the diner, sending shivers up Samantha's spine. She wrapped her arms around herself, feeling the rush of possibility swirling within her. But was she prepared to take the plunge into an unknown future, or was she still anchoring to the past that was so familiar? As she contemplated her next steps, her heart quickened. She was at a crossroads, a moment that could change everything. Would she dare to step beyond her limits, or retreat back to the safety of her old life? Charlie's voice broke through her reverie, pulling her back. "Talk to him, Samantha. Don't let this chance slip away." With each second ticking away, she realized conviction was needed. The weight of her decision loomed like a thundercloud. Would she chase this chance, risking failure yet again, or would she cling to her safe little life in the diner? The unanswered questions danced in her mind like shadows, igniting something within her that she had long buried. What lay ahead was uncertain, but she felt that spark pulling her forward. As she gathered her resolve, her gaze found Charlie's once more, searching for assurance. And at that moment, the door swung open again, a fresh wave of faces entering the diner. Who were they? Would someone among them help shape her future? The possibilities raced through her, and she knew the next chapter of her life was about to begin. The diner's bell chimed as the door swung open, and Samantha felt a rush of air disturb the stillness. The newcomers stepped in, shaking off the chill of the outside world, and an unexpected electricity charged the atmosphere. Among them stood a tall figure with bright eyes, scanning the room as if searching for something or someone. Just then, the stranger's gaze locked onto hers. There was an instant connection, a recognition that sent a jolt down Samantha's spine. Was it her imagination, or did the entire diner vanish, leaving only the two of them? "Hey, mind if we share a table?" he asked with a warm smile, pulling her back from her thoughts. His voice was deep and inviting, echoing with a hint of something familiar. Without thinking, she nodded, and he slid into the seat across from her. "I'm Alex," he introduced himself, extending a hand that felt strong and confident. "Samantha." She grasped his hand, feeling a spark that made her heart flutter unexpectedly. "So, what brings you here?" Alex asked, settling in. His eyes held a depth that made her feel seen, like he was genuinely interested. Samantha hesitated, remembering how her words had just moments ago given her strength, and began to share her story: the diner, her dreams, her recent call to action. As she spoke, she noticed the way his expression changed. His eyes brightened, not just with intrigue but with understanding. "You know, everyone needs a nudge sometimes," he said, leaning in closer. "It sounds like you're ready for something bigger." She smiled, feeling her cheeks warm under the weight of his gaze. "I'm trying to figure that out," she admitted, each word tasting like a confession. "Maybe you just need to take a leap," he said thoughtfully. "Who knows what's out there for you?" His words hung in the air, thick with possibility. Something told Samantha that he understood more than he let on. Suddenly, the waitress who had been shaken just moments before reappeared, carrying drinks with a newfound confidence. She flashed a grateful smile at Samantha, as if recognizing her boldness had given her strength as well. The energy changed. The diner transformed from a backdrop of mundane comfort to a crucible of daring connections. "Do you ever think about how one decision can change everything?" Samantha blurted, surprising even herself. She could hardly keep up with her thoughts. It was all swirling, like colors in a painting, a spontaneous burst of creativity, and she was desperate to reach for more of it. "Absolutely," Alex replied, leaning back with an expression of intrigue. "It's that moment of bravery that stands out. Like when you stuck up for the waitress earlier." "I saw that. It takes guts." Her heart raced. Charlie's encouragement echoed in her mind, and she felt emboldened. "Whatever happens next, I want to be ready for it," she found herself saying. "I want to chase life." "Then chase it," he replied simply, yet it felt like a command wrapped in encouragement. "What's stopping you?" The words danced in her head. A chord struck deep inside her, a determination fueled by this unexpected connection. The truth was, she knew what was holding her back. It had been fear, the comfortable embrace of the familiar that stifled her growth. Just as she was about to reply, the door swung open a third time, ushering in a group of people that launched an entire wave of excitement. The atmosphere shifted, collecting laughter and chatter, and the moment felt alive. Samantha's heart raced, and she turned to Alex. "Maybe this is the sign I needed." As she spoke, the laughter grew louder, and she realized she had just skimmed the surface of the adventure that awaited her. It was unfolding before her eyes, colorful and vibrant, as if the universe had aligned just for her, but deep down, she questioned, what did chasing that future really mean? Would it change everything she knew? As the room swelled with anticipation, she felt more uncertain than before. And then it hit her. She had to decide. Would she step boldly into this new beginning, or allow herself to be swept away, clinging to a life already stained by the shadows of her insecurities? The next moment could redefine everything. With her heart pounding fiercely in her chest, she couldn't help but wonder, what path was she willing to walk, and what if it led her to the life she never knew she wanted? Samantha's thoughts raced as she looked around the diner. Laughter erupted from the corner booth where a group of friends celebrated something joyous, their glasses clinking like tiny chimes of hope. The very air felt electric, buzzing with possibilities, and here she was, a bystander in her own life. "Hey, it's still you and me," Alex said, gently pulling her back from the edge of her spiraling thoughts. His hand rested on the table, casually yet invitingly, and she felt that familiar flutter again. "What are you thinking?" She could sense the weight of his gaze, earnest and warm. It felt disarming, like he was giving her permission to dive deeper into her own heart. I guess I'm just worried. What if I take that leap and fall flat on my face?" Alex chuckled softly, easing the tension around her. "Falling is just part of the process. It's how you learn to fly. Think about it, every risk you don't take is a story you'll never live to tell." A flicker of understanding sparked in her. His words held a truth that reverberated through her. What if all those years of playing it safe had kept her from discovering her fullest potential? Samantha straightened in her seat, the warmth of a new resolve wrapping around her like a favorite blanket. "You know, you're right," she said, her voice steadier now. It's time to start telling my own story. He nodded, satisfaction glimmering in his eyes. That's what I like to hear. What's the first chapter going to be? Samantha leaned in, feeling emboldened by the atmosphere, the laughter, the running conversations buzzing like fireflies in warm summer air. Maybe it's about seizing moments like this, she said, waving her hand around to encompass the diner. Maybe it's about meeting new people, challenging myself to step out of my usual corner. Like sharing a table with a stranger. Stranger, huh? He raised an eyebrow, teasing, and she laughed, feeling lighter than she had all week. Okay, not a stranger anymore, definitely a friend. He grinned, and her heart skipped. There was a comfort blooming between them, one that felt like it had its roots in something deeper. As they continued to talk, Samantha opened up about her old ambitions. The dreams she allowed to languish, the stubborn shadow of doubt that had lingered for far too long. With every confession, Alex listened, his expression growing earnest, his responses spurring her on. Have you ever thought about writing? He asked, his tone genuinely curious. Actually, I used to before life got in the way, she admitted, a hint of nostalgia lacing her voice. Maybe it's time to pick that back up. Then do it. Alex's enthusiasm ignited something inside her. This is your moment. You're entering a new chapter in life, and it's the perfect time to write about it, live it out loud. His encouragement was like gasoline on a flickering ember, exploding into a flame of hope within her. With each word he spoke, she felt layers of fear peel away. It was exhilarating. But then an unexpected pang of fear settled back in. Sharing dreams meant risking vulnerability, and what if no one cared? Are you scared of what other people think? He asked softly, his eyes searching hers. She bit her lip, glancing away. Yeah, I think I am, more than I'd like to admit. Here's the truth, Samantha, most people are too busy worrying about themselves to really focus on what you're doing. You're in the driver's seat. You decide where to go. His words sunk in deep, resonating like a gentle echo in her heart. The unsettling, shifting energy in the diner felt as though it was swirling around her, urging her to make a move. But she paused, taking a breath. Was her heart finally ready for a leap? Just then, the front door swung open once again, and in walked a family, their boisterous joy flooding the diner with warmth. Little children laughed, their innocence a stark contrast to the swirling questions in her mind. With all that was happening, one thing remained clear, she had a choice to make. As the laughter of the children danced around her, she felt both exhilarated and terrified at the same time. What if this was the storm before the calm, a reckoning of sorts? Are you ready for your journey? Alex asked, leaning closer, offering her yet another opportunity to break free. The weight of his question hung in the air like a heavy mist, the moment stretching as she contemplated the possibilities. Her heart raced. This was it. Would she stay in familiar territory, or take that leap and dive into the unknown? What awaited her beyond the diner doors? And would she find the courage she needed to embrace it? Samantha's breath caught just as the door swung shut behind the family, sealing in their jubilant energy. She could still hear the echoes of their laughter, notes of innocence layering over the buzz of conversation surrounding her. Here she was, on the brink of something new, feeling like a tightrope walker poised above a vast chasm. What lay on the other side was unknown, and her heart hammered against her chest like a furious drum. Are you ready for this? Alex's voice trembled with enthusiasm, pulling her back from the ledge of her thoughts. She turned her gaze to him, feeling the sincerity behind his question bubble up in her chest. I don't know, she admitted, vulnerability flickering in her expression. What if I jump and it's not what I thought it would be? But what if it is? He leaned in closer, his eyes steady and encouraging. What if it's everything you need? The warmth of his presence flickered her resolve like a candle in the wind. Could she really do this? Breaking out of her shell felt like strapping a rocket to her back. Exciting. Terrifying. Maybe all it took was the tiniest step. An idea sparked in her mind, nudging her to take the plunge. "All right," she said softly, a flicker of determination igniting within her. "Maybe I could start by writing about today. This moment. This conversation." "That sounds perfect." Alex beamed. "Capture it all. Your fears, your hopes, every detail. Then share it with the world. You're more powerful than you think." The thought of pouring her heart into words was both exhilarating and daunting. What would people say? Would they care? But Alex's belief in her felt like an invisible hand, pushing her gently toward the edge. As she contemplated her choices, the diner around them continued to pulse with life. The waitress deftly weaved through the maze of tables, serving steaming mugs of coffee and plates piled high with food. The hum of conversation wrapped around her like a comforting quilt. Could it be enough to start from a small, intimate space like this? A toddler at the nearby booth squealed, grabbing at his mother's hand, and Samantha smiled, feeling a warmth settle in her chest. Life could be simple, couldn't it? Celebrating little victories, savoring quiet moments. Perhaps she could find beauty in the little details. What if I just allowed myself to write without judgment? She mused, her brows knitting together in concentration. What if I just unleashed everything without worrying if it was good or not? Yes. Exactly. Alex replied enthusiastically, his voice floating above the clatter of the diner. Let it flow. You owe it to yourself. A flood of clarity washed over her. Okay, you know what? I'll do that. Right here, right now. She grabbed a napkin from the table, the crinkled white surface calling her name, a blank canvas ready to be adorned with her thoughts. With a shaky hand, she began to scribble down the magic of this moment, the laughter, Alex's encouragement, her fear mingling with excitement. As her pen moved, words spilled out like water from a broken dam. Each sentence suddenly felt liberating, a thread weaving her narrative back to life. The weight on her chest wanted to vanish. Around her, the chatter of the diner faded to syrupy whispers, a backdrop to her burgeoning inspiration. She was discovering a rhythm, a melody of thoughts that resonated within her. With every word, she unraveled layers of doubt, but just as a spark illuminated her spirit, a shadow crossed her face. She paused, biting her lip. Is this enough? Do you think I can really share this? Will anyone care about my story? She asked softly, doubt creeping back in. Alex reached across the table, his fingers brushing hers. Samantha, every story matters. Yours particularly. It's raw, it's real. And it will touch someone out there, I promise. His touch was a jolt, igniting an awareness that reverberated deeper than her hesitations. But before she could respond, another voice cut through the air. Excuse me. A woman stood at their table, her posture confident, her gaze piercing. I couldn't help but overhear. Are you a writer? Samantha's eyes widened, and her heart skipped a beat. This was a strange and unexpected drop into a moment that could change everything. Because if you are, I have an idea you might want to be part of. Just like that, the world spun and a new path opened before her, leaving her tangled in hope and anxiety all at once. What could this stranger possibly want? Suddenly, she realized she was on the edge of another leap. Would she gather her courage once more? Samantha's heart raced. The woman's words hung in the air, electrifying and thick with possibility. She forced herself to smile, the mix of fear and curiosity swirling inside her. I'm just starting out, she stuttered, glancing at Alex, who nodded encouragingly, urging her on with his eyes. The woman, a striking figure with sharp features and an air of undeniable confidence, took a seat at their table, her presence commanding. I'm Mia, she introduced herself. I'm an editor at a small publishing house, looking for fresh voices. I overheard you talking about writing, and I think you have something special. Samantha blinked, stunned. Me? Special? Yes. Mia leaned in closer, her voice warm yet firm. You've got that spark. I could tell from what I heard. There's authenticity in your words, it's what people want. You could share your story, but I don't know if it's good enough, Samantha interjected, the familiar self-doubt knotting her stomach. What if it's just not? I've only written on a napkin. Great stories often start on napkins, Mia said with a laugh, relieving some tension that clung heavily to the moment. It's about the experience, the truth of your feelings. Don't underestimate that. As Mia spoke, Samantha found herself leaning closer, her breath matching the rhythm of this unexpected conversation. A rush of emotion flared in her chest. Could this really be the beginning of something? What kind of stories do you like? She asked, her curiosity bubbling. I love stories that encapsulate struggle and triumph, the moments that turn ordinary lives extraordinary, Mia replied. Life can throw so much at you. It's what we do with those experiences that matter. A flurry of thoughts swirled in Samantha's mind, crafting a narrative that felt thrilling yet terrifying. That was exactly what she longed to convey, her journey, her fear, who she was before stepping into this moment. Would you really be interested in reading what I write? The question slipped out before fear could stop it. Absolutely. I can help you refine it, Mia said, her conviction solid. I see potential in your voice, and I want to support you. Here's my card. Think about it. No pressure, but I really believe you have something to share. Samantha stared down at the card, a small slip of paper that felt weighty with promise. Her fingers trembled as she traced the printed letters, her mind racing with possibilities. But what if I fail? She whispered, the shadow of doubt creeping back. What if no one wants to read it? Failure is simply another step toward success, Mia replied, her eyes sparkling. You can't grow without taking risks. Imagine if you don't try. What would you be leaving behind? Those words sank deep, igniting her desire to leap into the unknown. She imagined what it would be like to share her experiences, to connect with others, to feel that electric charge of resonating empathy. Her heart swelled. Okay, Samantha said, her voice steadier. I think I'm ready to try. Mia smiled, an understanding that only those who have stood at such a precipice could recognize. Good. Write it all down. Be fearless with your truth. As Mia collected her things to leave, Samantha felt an unmistakable shift within her. Something profound had just taken place. The universe seemed to conspire in her favor, just as she had pushed away her fears. Wait. Samantha called out, a thought crashing into her mind. Can I get your email? I want to share what I write. Mia's grin spread wide, her energy infectious. Of course. I'm looking forward to it. Just remember, don't hold back. The world needs your voice. With that, she strode away, leaving a sparkle in the air, an exhilarating promise hanging between them. Samantha looked down at her napkin, dotted with words now dancing on the verge of becoming more. Alex leaned back, his grin wider than before. You did it. You took the leap. I can't believe it, she whispered, excitement bubbling. What happens next? But deep down, a flicker of worry returned. What if she couldn't write a story worthy of Mia's belief? Would she be able to translate this moment into something meaningful? The diner buzzed all around her, life continuing unabated. But for Samantha, everything felt paused, the world bending just for her as she held this newfound potential in her hands. In that charged silence, she realized it wasn't just about writing, it was her very life that was about to change. Would she be brave enough to embrace it? Samantha sat in the diner, the remnants of her coffee growing cold beside her. The bustle of patrons faded into the background, a muffled soundtrack to the chaos within her mind. She clutched Mia's card tightly, her thoughts swirling like the whipped cream she'd left uneaten. The words, write it all down. Be fearless, echoed repeatedly. They were a challenge, a promise. Are you okay? Alex's voice broke through her reverie, and she turned to him, catching the concern etched on his face. Yeah, I'm just thinking, Samantha replied, forcing a smile, though the unease twisted in her gut. It's just a lot to process. Like you actually met an editor, he said with a chuckle, shaking his head. That's unreal. You gotta capture this moment, Sam. It's huge. She felt heat rise to her cheeks, the flattery and the reality of what Mia had said rushing through her. The idea of being seen to be considered special felt foreign yet intoxicating. Somewhere deep down, the small flame of hope ignited, but self-doubt threatened to smother it. Do you really think I have something worth sharing? Samantha asked quietly. Absolutely. You've got so much to say. Just look at how you talk about your experiences, Alex encouraged, his enthusiasm infectious. Your struggles, your dreams, they matter. Samantha let out a shaky breath. But what if I can't translate all of it? What if I can't write it down like I see it in my head? His brow furrowed, and he leaned forward, earnest. Just start writing. Even if it's messy. Remember, you don't need to be perfect. Just be you. His words seemed to lift a weight off her shoulders. They reminded her of the nights spent journaling her fears and dreams, the words spilling out as she released her worries onto the pages. Okay, she nodded, determination edging its way into her voice. I'll start tonight. Great. That's the spirit. He raised his cup in a mock toast, his eyes sparkling with support. To the future best-selling author. She laughed, the sound ringing bright against the din around them. Moments like this made her heart swell, transformative moments filled with promise. She clinked her cup against his, a toast to dreams she scarcely allowed herself to believe. Before the two could continue their conversation, the diner doors flung open, ushering in a gust of cold air and a new group of patrons. As they settled in, Samantha caught sight of a woman with vibrant red hair seated at the counter, scribbling fervently in a notebook. The sight tugged at something inside of her, that could be her one day. Hey, look over there, Alex pointed discreetly toward the woman. Think she's a writer too? Samantha watched her, captivated. The woman seemed engrossed in her task, the world around her melting away. Could that fervor, that passion for creation be contagious? Her heart leaped. What if she approached that woman? What if she asked for advice? A rush of thrill coursed through her, but just as quickly, the familiar knot of shyness twisted back up. Maybe you should talk to her, Alex prompted gently. Me? Samantha felt color drain from her face. I can't just walk up to a stranger. What would I even say? Just be honest. You have a connection through writing already. Samantha considered it, feeling both excitement and fear wrestle within. Could this be another leap? Another chance to embrace this new chapter in her life? Just as she was about to rise from her seat, she noticed something amazing happening. The red-haired woman looked up from her notebook, her gaze locking onto Samantha's. A tiny smile danced across her lips, like a secret shared between worlds. In that moment, Samantha felt that spark again. The universe whispering to her, nudging her closer to the edge. She could either turn away or dive in. What if I just ask her? She murmured, her heart racing. Then go. Alex urged, and she felt a surge of courage bubble up. With a final glance at the woman, Samantha rose. She didn't know where this would lead, but one thing was sure, she was ready to find out. As she approached, every step felt electric. And just as she opened her mouth to speak, the woman's pen paused, a curious look crossing her face. Excuse me, Samantha began, her voice trembling but clear. I couldn't help but notice you writing. In that heartbeat, she knew she was full of stories waiting to spill into the world. What would she learn from this unexpected encounter? Would it shift the course of her journey even further? The woman's eyes widened slightly, and she set her pen down with a deliberate grace. Oh, really? You could tell I was writing. I just saw you scribbling, and it looked so captivating. I thought maybe you had some wise words to share, Samantha said, the shyness brightening into a glimmer of warmth. The red-haired woman chuckled, her voice melodic. I wouldn't say wise, but I do have stories. What about you? Are you a writer? Samantha hesitated, the word hanging in the air like a whisper. I'm trying to be. I mean, I want to write. I just had the opportunity to meet an editor, and it's a bit overwhelming. A door has opened for you, then, the woman replied, her eyes sparkling with understanding. I'm Tessa, by the way. Samantha, she replied, feeling her heart swell with excitement. Are you in the middle of something, or just starting out? Tessa inquired, leaning closer. Starting out, Samantha admitted, her words picking up pace. I've held on to dreams of writing forever, but the self-doubt always creeps in. I want to write about everything. My experiences, my family, my journey. But what if no one wants to read it? Tessa nodded, her expression softening. That fear will always be there. But writing is about honesty, creating a connection. When you write from your heart, you're bound to find someone who resonates with those words. Samantha felt a warmth spreading through her, igniting the flickers of hope she had felt earlier. Have you always written? Pretty much. I've been penning my thoughts since I was a kid, Tessa replied with a laugh. It's my way of processing life. But remember, writing isn't just an escape, it's a bridge to others. It can build a community, a family of sorts. As Tessa spoke, Samantha could see the passion dancing in her eyes. What do you write about? She found herself asking. Anything and everything, Tessa said, her smile widening. Life, love, heartbreak. I've published a couple of personal essays. Honestly, every piece of writing is like a small piece of me. But it's a constant battle. You put so much of yourself out there, and it makes you vulnerable. Samantha swallowed hard, feeling the weight of those words settle in her chest. What Tessa said was true. Vulnerability was a frightening concept, yet there was bravery in allowing herself to be seen. What if someone criticizes your work? She asked, her brow furrowing slightly. Tessa grinned back, an infectious lightness in her expression. It will happen. But take it as an opportunity to learn rather than a setback. Every response teaches you something about your craft and the world at large. A sense of possibility bloomed in Samantha's chest. It's like you're giving me a manual for overcoming my fears. Or maybe you're writing your own, Tessa replied, her gaze penetrating. You have the power to create that narrative. Write it all down. Be fearless. For the first time, the words didn't just stay on Mia's card. They began to swirl in her mind, growing concrete and tangible in her heart. What's your favorite piece you've written? Samantha asked eagerly. Tessa's brow furrowed thoughtfully for a brief moment before she answered, it's a personal essay about losing my mother. It's raw, but I believe it connects with those who've faced loss. It reminds us that we're never alone in our feelings. Samantha reflected on the concept of connection. I want that, she admitted. To make people feel less alone. You can, Samantha. Just start writing. You don't have to impress anyone, Tessa encouraged, a sincere smile lighting her features. Feeling emboldened, Samantha asked, would you maybe read something I write one day? Absolutely. I'd love to, Tessa beamed, sharing a spark of excitement that sent ripples through Samantha. As they exchanged email addresses, Samantha felt the energy around them shift. The diner blurred into the background as a world filled with possibilities blossomed. She could almost see her future unfurling before her, but just as she was about to express her gratitude, she noticed that Tessa's face grew serious. Listen, Samantha. I know this might sound weird, but do you believe in serendipity? I think so. Good. Because I think you've just stumbled into something special, Tessa said, a knowing smile crossing her lips. Perhaps it's time to bravely step out and embrace this moment. A door is wide open, and it's waiting just for you. Samantha's heart raced, realization awakening in her. What did this connection truly mean for her journey? Are you ready for what's next? Tessa's question hung in the air, the weight of potential thrilling and terrifying all at once. As Samantha contemplated, she could feel the stirring of change within her. But how would she embrace it? And would she dare to walk through the open door? Samantha took a deep breath, inhaling the scent of freshly brewed coffee and the hint of nostalgia that wrapped around her like an old sweater. Tessa's words echoed in her mind, filling her with both hope and uncertainty. She felt like she was standing at the edge of a vast ocean, ready to dive in but scared of the waves. Tessa's presence had ignited something within her. The way she spoke with such passion, how she made vulnerability sound like a courageous choice instead of a burden, stirred Samantha's soul. It felt like she was conversing with someone who saw her, truly saw her. What's next? She murmured to herself, glancing at her hands fidgeting with the napkin that had turned crumpled. Was she ready to take a leap of faith? Well, if you don't mind me saying, I think you should get that pen moving, Tessa chimed in, her eyes twinkling with encouragement. Writing can be cathartic. It's therapeutic. Just let it flow. Samantha nodded, her heart pounding with an urgency she hadn't felt in quite some time. Perhaps it was now or never. Would you really read something I write one day? She asked again, needing reassurance. Of course, Tessa winked. I hold you to that. Write something beautiful, something true. You are capable of it. As the afternoon sun dipped lower, casting a golden glow through the diner's windows, Samantha felt the warmth radiating from Tessa's encouragement. She had always been afraid of her story of laying it out for the world to see. But now, perhaps she could transform that fear into something powerful. What was your first experience like? Samantha asked, her curiosity piquing. When you shared your writing for the first time? Tessa smiled softly, a flicker of nostalgia appearing in her gaze. It was terrifying, honestly. I wrote about a heartbreak. The moment I shared it, I felt exposed, like standing naked before a crowd. But the feedback, it was surprising. People connected. They opened up in ways I never expected. And that's when I realized that our experiences, although painful, are what bind us together. But what about the fear of judgment? Samantha queried, her voice a whisper. Tessa leaned in, her tone serious but kind. Fear is a part of the process, but it can't dictate your worth. Remember, every great piece of art is born from vulnerability. Don't let the fear of criticism shut you down. Those words settled deep within Samantha, a combination of resolution and doubt. Could she really let go of that fear? What if she truly wrote from her heart and no one understood it? Let me share a little secret, Tessa said, breaking through her thoughts. Every writer faces criticism. It's not about being perfect, it's about being authentic. You write for yourself first, and anyone else is just a bonus. Yes, I think I'd do like that, Samantha replied, her heart racing with newfound possibility. To create for me, not for anyone else. Exactly. Tessa exclaimed, her enthusiasm contagious. You're starting to understand. You're on the right path. Just take a step forward and see what unfolds. As Samantha looked into Tessa's trusting eyes, she felt a flicker of courage edging its way to the surface. It began to dawn on her, she didn't have to navigate this journey alone anymore. She had someone cheering her on. Thank you for everything. Samantha's voice trembled slightly with emotions she couldn't quite name. Oh, it's just the beginning, Tessa replied gently. Let us keep this connection alive. I can introduce you to more writers, workshops, events. You'll find your tribe, Samantha. The very idea sent a thrill down Samantha's spine, the prospect of joining a community that shared her passion. I'd love that, she breathed, a smile breaking across her face. As they exchanged stories, the world outside dimmed into a soft blur. With each laughter-filled moment, bonds began to weave around them, threading an invisible connection that promised to pull them together again soon. But then, just as the sun cast its final rays through the window, Tessa leaned closer, her voice lowering a notch. I must confess something. There's something you should know about me. A piece of my past. Samantha's heart fluttered at the hint of mystery. What is it? Tessa paused, her expression becoming serious. It's related to that essay I wrote. It changed everything for me, and I believe it might connect to what you're feeling right now. What do you mean? Samantha's pulse quickened. What did this connection really mean for her own unfolding story? As Tessa opened her mouth to reveal her secret, Samantha's heart raced with anticipation, wondering if this would be the moment that truly shifted everything for her. Tessa took a breath, her eyes reflecting a mixture of vulnerability and resolution. When I wrote that essay about losing my mother, it felt like exposing my soul, she said, the weight of her emotions palpable. It was my way of processing grief, but also a way of sharing the bond one had with her. In writing it, I discovered that I wasn't alone. Readers reached out, sharing their own losses. It became a healing experience, connecting me to people I'd never met. I realized then that sharing our stories doesn't just open doors, it builds bridges. Samantha sat captivated, every word igniting a fire within her. She'd been living in the shadows of her own fears for so long, afraid to share the ache of her past. I get that, she murmured, clarity dawning. I've always held back because of what others might think. But I see now that my story could connect to someone else, just like yours did. Maybe it is time to step into the light. Tessa nodded, her smile broadening. Absolutely. Facing our fears can cultivate growth. Your voice deserves to be heard. In that moment, a breakthrough unfolded before Samantha. With a rush of courage, memories intertwined of her mother's sacrifices, her dreams slipping into the background, and her own longing to transform that pain into something powerful. She felt a sense of freedom wash over her, ready to embrace the complexity of her emotions. Just as that realization settled, laughter erupted nearby, drawing her attention. Two children were sharing a milkshake, giggling uncontrollably over their sticky fingers. It sparked something inside her, a lightness. No longer was she just a waitress in a diner, she was an artist, ready to capture the essence of life itself. I'm ready to take those risks now, she whispered. Good, Tessa replied, an encouraging glint in her eye. You have so much insight waiting to pour out. Consider this a call to action, write about today, about this connection. Let it be the first page of a new chapter. The weight of Tessa's words hung in the air, and Samantha perceived the thrill of potential crackling around them. She felt renewed, her heart beating to the rhythm of hope and excitement, no longer bounded by her insecurities. The diner, with its colorful chaos and ripe possibilities, turned into her very own canvas. Thank you for believing in me, Samantha said, her voice warm with genuine gratitude. I didn't realize how much I needed this moment. As they said their goodbyes, Samantha felt Tessa's words vibrating through her, a promise toward her newfound path. Stepping outside, she felt the cool air brush past her cheeks, invigorating her spirit. The world felt fresh, alive with stories waiting to unfold. She sat back at her table, her thoughts racing like stars illuminating the night sky. The napkin, filled with her scribbles, felt like the beginning of something monumental. Her heart swelled, and for the first time in years, she felt certain about taking a leap into the unknown, and just like that, everything became clear. Samantha picked up her phone, scrolling to her notes app. Thoughts began pouring onto the screen as she felt the weight lift from her shoulders. Words tumbled forth, detailing every raw emotion from today: the acceptance, the connections, the realization that vulnerability was a key to strength. As she wrote, each tap of her fingers felt like an affirmation. The fears that once stood in opposition morphed into stepping stones guiding her towards her dreams. With a spark of creativity igniting her soul, she whispered, "This is just the beginning." As she wrapped up her first messy draft, she looked up to see Alex watching her from a neighboring table, admiration gleaming in his eyes. "Wow, look at you go," he said, a proud smile breaking across his face. "I knew you had it in you. What are you writing?" She felt her heart swell as she met his gaze, confident for the first time. "I'm writing my story," she stated firmly. And I'm finally ready to share it with the world. In that ordinary diner, surrounded by the buzz of life, Samantha found extraordinary courage. The shadows of her past unfurled into the light as she took the first steps toward a future she never knew she could reach. Each word became a thread, weaving her narrative of hope, connection, and the humility of simply being human. As she turned back to her notes, images of her mother's unwavering strength rushed to the forefront. "This is for you, Mom," she murmured, her voice thick with emotion. "This is for everyone who needs to know they aren't alone." Samantha left the diner that evening transformed, holding on to her writing as if it were a lifeline. Everything had shifted. She was no longer just a witness to life, she was a participant, ready to embrace it fully, and that was just the beginning. Now, as you stand on your own journey, remember every leap you take can lead you to beauty yet unseen. If you're feeling inspired by Samantha's transformation, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help spread these empowering stories. Comment below your thoughts and feelings about this ending. What's your next leap? And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your stories and connections matter, just like Samantha's.